We are live. It's going to be tiny for me tonight. Yes. Hi. Welcome. We are. Did it do it? Okay. We're live now. Sorry, everyone. Welcome. I was running late tonight. I think not too bad, though. A couple minutes. Traveling all day. Yes. All day travel. So, how are you, ladies? How was your holiday?
It's good.
Very relaxing.
Yeah, relaxing too for me.
Good.
Sad because my mom is in quarantine in a senior facility, but you know, that's the world we live in right now, right?
Yeah, it does. It is hard.
But restful.
Yeah, I'm on my laptop, so everything is so tiny. But otherwise,
so I've got the huge screen and the lights. I've got the lights flashing at me.
But you're live from San Antonio, Dara. You pulled this off from San Antonio, Texas, instead of from your home in New Hampshire. So that's awesome.
Yes, I know it was. I made it today. I got here. Karen picked me up at about 4:00.
Hi to Kat and Angie in the chat room already.
Yeah, Angie. So I think Angie, because you had said, Jennifer, let me go through our spiel really quick and get everybody who our new viewers are. Welcome to the Groomers Cuts. I think by now everyone probably knows who we are, I hope, or at least you guys. They don't have to know me. I just kind of sit here and do your thing. But for any new viewer, please give Streamline, I always say that, StreamYard, your permission so we can see your name in our chat. If you don't, then we just see Facebook user, so we don't know who you are. And we like calling you by name, not by Facebook user. But otherwise, I think tonight Jennifer had wanted to talk on associations. And
with good reason. And you can start off, Dara, by telling us about what's going on in Texas, because El Paso, Texas, just became the first legal entity, government unit in the United States to require licensing for groomers. And that's the first of many. We've had, of course, legislative attempts in previous states have been going on for more than a decade. And Terry Becker DiMarino has led the nation in the importance of organizing state associations in order to be ready for these things. We certainly have utilized state associations, state groomer associations a lot during the pandemic. I'm a retired high school social studies teacher and a full-time political lobbyist for more than a decade. I worked on victims' rights advocacy. I know how to talk to governors and state representatives and how to navigate government. And I think it's something most groomers don't know anything about and don't know the importance of. And I really think that given what you're about to tell us is going on in El Paso, and with what is being proposed in legislation in other states. And of course, I've been conferring this week with some of the groomers in Massachusetts who reached out to me as the head of the Illinois State Association to find out about how we persuaded the governor in Illinois to make us essential when in Massachusetts, groomers are still are being put back into the non-essential category, which actually now they can make a case. I can talk about this in detail in a minute, but there's a federal justification for saying we're essential now that didn't exist last spring. So there's a lot going on that has to do with affecting our ability to do our jobs as groomers, that is in the sort of the political governmental sphere that I think is really important to talk to groomers about, and how to empower you guys. You groomers, you can totally be empowered to be heard, and you will be heard.
I don't know what to follow with that.
Well, tell us
about what's going on in El Paso.
Yeah, tell us what's going on in El Paso.
I don't have much, just getting here today, so I haven't really been able to talk to anybody, but just getting on here. I don't know if you were able to see what I pulled up for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's really, I'm going to try to find it here. So bear with me.
Here's what I know. And if I can just kind of fill in everybody, and again, hi to Tanya and Amanda and everybody in the chat room. And thank you guys for being here. Here's what I know is that the city of El Paso, which is a border community, if you don't know the geography of it, El Paso is right on the Texas-Mexico border. And there were significant problems with dogs being injured, enough so that it got the attention of local city officials. And they pretty much very quickly, without much deliberation at all or much chance to even get input from grooming associations, they just very quickly legislated a broad general thing many months ago that says the groomers have to be credentialed, and then they fill that in the details of it later. Right?
It actually started in 2017 for them.
Oh, good.
So this was not a fly by the passing of them. They have been looking at the industry there, and this has been on their books and on their radar since 2017. It just got passed quickly because of that case of the death.
Yes. So as Angie is,
the problem is that people are not aware that in certain states or communities that there is a bill or a doctrine on the table, and then something happens and it's passed through quickly.
And actually that has not happened. Like the two big efforts in New Jersey and California to regulate and license groomers, those went on very high profile in their state legislature for quite some time, and neither one of them still has as of yet passed. They've come very close. The one in New Jersey has passed one of the two houses. But what happened in El Paso is now going to be a requirement for, quote, certified groomers. You now have to be certified.
I've got it up right here. So what they're saying is a groomer license will be required. Now, that's going to be a license in their town. That's not a federal license. So the town is going to require the groomers to go through an application process and have a type of certificate of training that they're creating. Then that application process, you're going to have to test.
So I actually have heard from, and Angie just chimed in there too, it also requires CPR training. And what was the other thing? A microchip. Every groomer has to do vaccination records, microchip checks, and every groomer has to be certified. And it has to be a certification with either IPG, NDGAA, ISCC, or AKC. Those are the four. That was named
in San Antonio, in El Paso.
Yeah,
see, I'm not seeing that on their board right now.
So this is, I got this information from Linda Easton, who is the head of IPG. She is one of the certified approved. And this is what she told me yesterday, that there are 4 certifications that they are accepting, AKC, and then ISCC, NDGAA, and IPG. So
but AKC isn't a certification. It's just a class.
The safe groomer,
safe salon or safe, yeah.
And
the
they're
safe
saying
groomer.
That's gonna hold.
So IPG has an introductory level track. It's track 1 that is safety, geared to safety programs, as is the AKC SAFE, SAFE, which stands for, it's got an acronym.
So they're not using anything of the ISCC, which is based in Texas.
Oh, no, they are using ISCC.
Did I miss that? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, they are.
The big 4 are IPG, National Dog Groomers, ISCC, and then the AKC SAFE.
Okay. All right. I'm sorry. I missed that. Yes. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah. So that is a first in our country. And I think one of the most important things for us to talk about is the fact that Now that a unit of government, and granted this is only a city, but it's a big city in Texas.
It's a big step.
It is a huge step.
Go across the country like wildfire. As soon as
Correct.
it starts happening in one place, everybody's going to go, oh, revenue. And it's going to be happening everywhere.
Right. And, there were people trying to argue that, this is just going to drive groomers out of the city limits and that it'll hurt business in the city. But quite to the contrary, this is that first toe in the water, and everybody can be guaranteed because, the people who did the wonderful work of creating the national standards of safety care and sanitation that came out about 5 years ago, the PPGSA standards, that was a product of 2 years of hard work of all of the leaders in our industry in response to the California and New Jersey attempts to license and regulate groomers at the state level. These things, and there's been bills in cities like Hollywood, West Hollywood in California. There's conversation about licensing of states in licensing of groomers in Rhode Island. So all of these things we've been warned for years by Terry and others and PPGSA leaders that this is coming, that this is upon us. And it's here. And now post-pandemic, the idea of safety and regulation and everything, I think, is going to be much more on the minds of public officials going forward. So this is the main thing I wanted to say to everybody. As a person who has worked in political organizing professionally and who has successfully, I amended the Illinois Constitution. It took me about 6 years and I marshaled forces from hundreds of people, but I got a constitutional amendment passed in Illinois. That's a very big effort. And I know what it takes to organize. It's not that tough. You just have to build that, that community of people that care. And it's so easy to do with a Facebook group. And I've been talking to the wonderful groomers in Massachusetts who are being declared all of a sudden with the pandemic resurgence. They are back to being non-essential and being shut down. And in fact, this is what I've shared with them, and any other state that wants it, just email me at groomersguide@gmail.com and I will send you what we used in Illinois. To get the governor way back last spring to declare us essential. But this is the key piece of information. On April 17th of 2020, the Department of Homeland Security changed something called the Critical Infrastructure Actor Assessment, CISA. And they changed it because the first critical infrastructure, like what would we need for the country to still keep running during a crisis, that was written after 9/11. And 9/11, a horrible event in New York City, big terrorist attack, lots of people died. But that was a one-time event in a single place. It wasn't like the pandemic. The pandemic is everywhere and long-lasting. And it's a very different kind of a crisis than what 9/11 was. So everything that they had done in 2001 to define what would be critical infrastructure was being reassessed last spring nationally so that people could really identify what do we really need for this new kind of a crisis. And they had previously only said that veterinarians were essential and boarding kennels and daycares are essential because police officers and doctors have to have people to care for their animals. Retail needs to supply food to their animals. So that's critical infrastructure so that we can have these people to work. The groomers were left off that list until last spring. April 17th, 2020, the Department of Homeland Security changed the wording to read all people who care for pet animals, period. All people. And that includes groomers. And we took that information to the governor of Illinois in April. And by May 1st, we were essential. And many other states, Indiana, everybody around us all did it at the same time.
Is that something that you can put in the files of the Pet Pro Educator Group?
Yes.
I was just trying to find the
Yes.
login. I want to answer Kat too. She's asking, it's confusing about licensing. So as a business owner, you have to have a business license to operate in your town or state or however wherever you are. They are saying that.
But if you're a groomer,
you're
absolutely have your other license to groom.
Yes.
Like a veterinary technician, if they opened up a veterinary technician hospital, they'd have to pay for the business license of the place, the insurance, the taxes, and this, that, and the other. But to operate as actually focusing on doing veterinary tech work, they still have to be licensed by the state and approved and certified or whatever. So that's the difference.
So licensing usually comes from a state. Like if you think about our companions in the cosmetology field, they all have to be state licensed across the country. I think that the main message, and you started it off exactly on point, Dara, is the importance of having state associations. The reason why we were able to field 450 names of members of the Illinois Professional Pet Groomers Association behind a letter that pointed out, A, that, there was this change in federal language, but B, also that, dogs being trapped in people's homes, if the dogs are shedding or dirty, that can cause breathing problems. We talked about
health hazard to the dog and to the family.
It's a health hazard to the people and the dogs in the homes. If people are quarantined in their homes and the dogs are dirty, that's not good either. So it's really, we made that case. And there was only 2 industries on May 1st of 2020 that were allowed to reopen in Illinois.
Hold on. Catherine, no, if you worked for somebody who has a salon, your salon owner will have a business license, and then you will have to have a grooming license, a certification.
And the owner, if they're a groomer, will have to have.
If they don't groom and they just do admin, they're not required. But if they're putting hands on dogs, they need to be certified as a groomer.
Right. So, and by the way, I have to say hi to some of my staff. Annalise and Jessica are here in the chat room. It's wonderful. But anyway, the point is that we were one of only 2 industries in the state that was lobbying the governor to be made essential. It was us and Lawn and Garden. We were the only 2. I actually got calls from elected officials congratulating me on getting the governor to let us be essential a month earlier than any other industry in the state, because we made a good case. So the point is that, as I've been telling the Massachusetts folks, you need to represent that you are a state association. And all you have to do to get started to be a state association is to start a Facebook group. You don't have to, eventually you want to get incorporated and all that stuff. But for right now, all you need is a Facebook group and a name. Okay, so, there you go, Massachusetts Professional Pet Groomers Association. And get as many people as you can to join that group on Facebook. And then write develop a little logo for yourself and put it on some letterhead and call the governor's staff and explain the change in federal language. Try to get a letter in hand on the governor's desk and try to get a meeting. All you need is a handful of people that are willing to pick up the phone and call their elected officials. It's not hard to do. And I'm, as a professional lobbyist for many years, I am willing to help any groomer. There's a handful of us across the country that have a lot of political experience. Terry DiMarino, myself, Susan Scholler of the AKC, there's probably several others that are very good lobbyists. So don't hesitate to reach out to us.
Again, really quickly before you go on. Catherine, now this is happening in El Paso. So you're asking questions that aren't there yet. We don't have answers for that. It's going to be different in every city, probably in every state, until everything normalizes and becomes standardized. So we don't have a question. We don't know what El Paso's doing for right now. I don't think they've issued a certification or license yet. I think they're laying down ground rules. I have not seen lines of groomers lining up outside the county clerk office trying to get their license yet. So we don't know what all those specifics are.
And it could be different everywhere, no matter what happens in every state or county. For example, there is already one county in New York State that requires groomers to register. It's not a licensing or a certification, but they just have to say, I'm grooming in this county. Mm-hmm. So there is that. There's just a registration, just so they can kind of track where the groomers are.
They're
So
trying to gather statistics about
Yeah.
how feasible and viable it would be to institute state guidelines for groomers, licensing, because all that takes administration. As Jennifer well knows, all of that needs administered. So until they have that infrastructure in place, they're not just going to be handing out licenses. It just can't work like that, not in this time and space of government.
what's more likely to happen is that there's going to be something comparable to what beauticians have to do, which is to sit for some sort of a state exam,
Mhm.
and have a certain number of hours from an accredited institution. And so it's and I know the World Pet Association is working on creating a baseline competency test that would be available to be taken, like an SAT test type thing all
It's a
across
huge step in the right direction. It will at least put us on a baseline foundational playing field, and it will be state adoptable. They're putting it in a form that's been well researched, that's been well gone over by lawyers and litigation and this, that, and the other, and they're putting together something that's very foundational. But it will at least put groomers on the map at least this level. Say, okay, I know that I'm supposed to do this and not do this, and that's basically what that is. But they're allowing for that body of work to be used by state legislations to institute a licensing program for groomers.
Right. And I wanted to just say also to acknowledge Tanya, thank you for the hug. I hug you back. It is neat when groomers come together in a state or a city or a county to become organized in some fashion. And I think one of the things that I heard is happening in El Paso is that not only did this force the state of Texas State Association, which was kind of a, semi-active group, to really become active, but they also formed their own El Paso Groomers Association as well. And they did it so that they could be represented and be actually heard in this conversation. I think associations are important. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Brooke, I just want to let her know, Brooke, you can't see all the questions because this is streaming on 7 different platforms. So there are people watching on all different avenues, and we're getting the whole feed. So that's why you can't see all the questions. And we try to keep up with everybody and answer all of them as they're coming in.
Do they, if they watch on if they go in through Facebook, is that the best way to see the most comments?
Well, no? Yeah, but it's on, people can be watching on your page. People can be watching on Michelle's, on mine, on YouTube. It's also, there's other places and the Pet Pro educators. So I'm not sure where everybody's watching.
So I hope that everybody will find out if there's an association in their state. Just so you know, again, I think some of you already know about NAGA, which is the National Alliance of Grooming Associations. This was started by Christine Pearson of Wisconsin, and I got involved very early on with her, and Terry DiMarina from California, and so on. One of the goals of NAGA, which has a Facebook group, please join it, we actually created on the National Alliance of Grooming Associations Facebook group, which is an open group. We actually created these threads by state, and I don't know how Brent Smithson did it, but it's basically there's a map of every state. If you scroll through the threads, and you will find all 50 states there with a little map of your state and then a thread underneath it, and then anything that people were doing to organize in that state was put in that thread. The other thing you can do is search on Facebook to see if there is anything with your state that's already been done. A lot of states already have just at least a Facebook group going. There are some states that have 2 or 3.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
What if you live in a state where there is one in name only, but it's nowhere to be found, and you live in the Wild West, and nobody cares? What do you do then?
Start another one and get it for real incorporated. And it's not, you don't have to incorporate as a not-for-profit. That's a little more expensive, a little more paperwork. You could just form a private, S Corp or C Corp or LLC. You can,
Could
you
it
can,
be umbrellaed under an existing LLC, do you think?
yeah. Yeah, I actually started Illinois Professional
If
Pet
it
Groomers under
was
my.
a DBA,
I'm sorry.
it'd have to be a DBA.
Oh, okay, right. I mean, and that's what I did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, can't you do business as several things under the umbrella of one LLC?
Yeah, I
Yes.
did that with Love for Dogs. My business, Love for Dogs, I used that, and then originally IPPGA, the Illinois Professional Pet Groomers, which was just a Facebook group. I mean, I started grooming again full time in 2014 after, and I knew that there had been an Illinois State Association, and when I started grooming full time again, I said, and opened my own shop, I said, gee, where's the state association? Well, it had died in like 2001. And I was like, well, geez, we need a state association. So I went to 10 or 12 different people, mostly master groomers in the Chicago area, and said, we need one, don't we? Don't we? Yeah, we do. Somebody ought to start that. Do you want to start it? Well, no, I mean, you go ahead, Jennifer. So I did. I just started a Facebook group. And, it's a really good thing because now we are, we're for real, we're legal, and we made a tremendous impact by making sure our voice was heard in the state discussion. And I know if state licensing comes here, we've already built relationships. I got on the phone with, elected officials and got people working for us. And everybody listening to me, if you are a citizen of the United States, you need to know who your state senator is and your state representative and your U.S. congressional representative and, maybe your state U.S. senators as well. But
and
for
your mayor.
sure. And your mayor.
Your local legislature is the most powerful and has to do more with your personal life than any other legislature you can think of.
There's literally nothing more important for your life, especially given the year 2020 and everything that's happened, that you should make this a New Year's resolution for 2021, that you are going to make an appointment to go meet in person your state representative, your state senator, and unless you live in Nebraska, in which case they are unicameral and they only have one house. They don't have a House and a Senate. But every other state, you have a state house and a state senate. So meet your state representatives and your state senators and go meet your county commissioners. Go find out who's your county commissioner and go say, I call up their office and say, I would like to meet you and just introduce you and tell you about my business. 15-minute meeting. That's all you need to do. And your U.S. representative to the United States House of Representatives, everybody should meet. I have met in person with all of those people. And when they change, like who those people are, I go and meet the new people because it's really important that when I do need them, then I can call them up and say, remember when I met you? And, so that makes a difference.
When we tell you, make a friend out of a veterinarian, because if you go in there fresh with a cut ear or something bad happened, if you don't know them, they charge you full price. They're like, okay, here comes a dumb groomer that hurt a dog. But if they have a relationship with you, they see you, they perceive you differently. They're like, oh, Michelle's done, the dog zigged and she zagged, and come on in here and I'll just do it for supplies. It's the same with your legislature as well. The squeaky wheel gets the grease. So if they're aware that you're out there and you're active, then they're more than likely going to be empathetic to your causes when you bring them up during times of crisis.
It's so important. And literally any groomer in the country, there's like half the states. I don't know exactly the list, but go to the National Alliance of Grooming Associations, NAGA Facebook group and find out there's a bunch that don't have state associations, don't even have Facebook groups. If your state doesn't have one, start one. You can do it. Anybody can do it.
Anyone can do it. It takes a lot of work and it takes a community to build it.
I think if you build it, they will come. I mean, it was amazing to me. As soon as I started the Illinois Professional Pet Groomers Association Facebook group and just put it out there as a public group, I had 500 members within a month. And I didn't do anything.
You have to put out the content that's pertinent to a state association. Yeah. You have to have articles and resources on safety, on grooming, on certification, on legislation that may be coming your way. You have to keep current on all of that because that's what state associations do. So if you can get that information and just throw it on a website with a bunch of links, that's good enough if that's all you could do. It doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to have a video or
right.
big production. Just put that information up there so it's accessible. Then people will find you, because I know there are people that are looking for that information in my very own state. You know, all we have to do is publish it. We have to put it on there, publish it, say, okay, it's open. Come and see. Come and be a member.
That's right. And, you know, eventually you do want to incorporate, and you do want to get a nice logo, and you do want to have a board of directors and, you know, annual meeting. Luckily, we in Illinois, we have the All-American here every year, up until this year. We've had an opportunity to have in-person meetings with hundreds of groomers from around the state gathered. And so we were holding annual meetings for IPPGA for the last, 4 years, 5 years, actually, I think, at the All-American. So, we could actually hold a once a year in-person meeting. It's not hard to do a state association, but you should, get a small group of people together so it's not all falling on one person.
Share the labor, yeah.
so important. So, Michelle, is there an Arizona association?
There is a defunct association that will still accept your money, believe it or not. But they are not available. There's no current information. And occasionally, maybe twice a year, you will get a photocopy printout of an article of stuff that you already know about, like how to brush dog teeth, or stuff that you could easily find elsewhere. Nothing on legislation, nothing on getting together, nothing on rights or standards or anything that a state association would mean. Now, having said that, myself and Melissa Conti-Diener we have established the Southwest Groomers Association, which covers Arizona and any other territories that want to come in and give us hugs. So it is a loose association of that. There is a website, swgroomers.com. But there is very little information on there because literally it's 2 people. We have tried to hold meetings before, and everybody is so anti-licensing or anti-certification for whatever reason here, that you get 10 people together and 8 of them will go, meh, and walk away and see no value in it. So,
okay, but
you said really quick, swgroomers.com.
swgroomers.com, Southwest Groomers Association.
Of course, most groomers oppose licensing and regulation. Of course, that doesn't matter, friends, because the people in your state capital, the people in your county commissioner, county seat office, the people in the mayors and the city council in your city, they don't care whether or not you groomers want to be licensed and regulated. They are going to do it to you if they get, like one dead dog and somebody calling up and saying, God, you don't need to tell me that these people that are, caring for my dog are completely unregulated. How dare you? And then you get this poor, the poor animals. And folks, it's just, this is a no-brainer. This is not something that we can get together as a profession and decide, do we want to do this for ourselves?
It's going to happen to us. State associations give us a voice. They give us an entity that the state legislature or the local legislature can look at and go, okay, these people seem to be together, so let's listen to them. If we all come up as individuals, they're not going to listen to 100 individuals. They're going to listen to an organization with 100 memberships. That's what they're looking for. If we're not even cohesive enough to know what we're asking for, they're going to go, shut up, we're going to make the rules for you because you can't get your shit together.
Yeah, honestly, and if you wait until there is a piece of legislation that's been raised against you, it'll be too late.
Right.
And
then when everybody cries, hey, we don't like that. So you have
where were you?
years and years and years of chances to get this together and get it right, and to at least have some foundational common ground with your fellow state groomer.
Yeah, I like Amanda's comment. Amanda's comment says, I think it's kind of weird. Every other trade has to be licensed or certified in some way, and we want to be acknowledged as a profession, as a trade. So walk the walk. Amen, Amanda. Thank
Absolutely.
you. That's right. Now, Dara, you in New Hampshire, you have that New England Groomers Association, which has been very active for years, that has been putting on shows, but that is like your Southwest Groomers thing. That's a regional thing. That's not going to be all that helpful in terms of lobbying, because you have to organize your Groomers Association by whatever political unit might be regulating you. So by the county, by the city, by the state, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the way you have to.
Yeah, and they're education based, so they kind of have moved away from wanting to be a part of that.
And that's fine.
But
You know, putting
hard
on a great conference, that's a wonderful thing. Putting on a great conference once a year, that's a great thing.
Mm-hmm. So I have half a mind that even if it's one person, even if it's just you and no one else wants to participate, get a domain,
Yep.
get a little simple website going, throw a bunch of links and information up, and just let it ride. And if something changes, change or add to the stuff that you have there, post it on your Facebook page, and there it is. Even if it's an army of one person, one groomer, if you've got all this standards and protocols and certifications that you've had over the years, that's when you take your portfolio to the state and say, listen, I know it's only me, but look, I put in all the work. And they're like, oh yeah, we're going to pick you to spearhead this from the groomer's point of view. That's what they do. That's how it happens. That's how it happens organically, by one person going in.
Yeah, and honestly, what you have to do to be ready is really pretty simple. You need to have an organization. If anybody wants some ideas of what to put on a website, your SW Groom, we have a brand new one courtesy of Hollis Thomas, our very talented board member in the Illinois Professional Pet Groomers Association, IPPGA.com. If you want to see what a state association page put together by a couple of our board members looks like, it's a nice website. And
IPPGA.
Illinois Professional Pet Groomers Association.com, IPPGA.com. And it is, you can go see there. We also have the ability to join. And we made the decision that this is primarily my decision at first, that it would be free to join, because we just wanted to build the membership. That was what we were trying to do. I was willing to donate. My business was willing to donate some time and some infrastructure and some funds, because it was really important to just build the numbers. And if you start charging even a nominal dues, you're going to lose a few people. And it is really important, by the way, that when you do start taking in members, whether you charge a small dues or not, and if you want to incorporate, you're going to probably have to charge something to raise that money. But you want to always get people's 9-digit zip code. The 9-digit zip code is an essential piece of data to collect about every groomer, so that when you do need to send out contacts, like something is, I need you to contact your state rep, or, I need you to contact your U.S. representative. We need to know what political district you live in. So everybody needs to collect the 9-digit zip code. Little helpful hint for political organizing.
Wow, that was a lot of mouthful there.
I'm passionate about this. I'm a little bit worried about the fact that this the grooming industry is not as ready for what's coming as they should be.
Well, let the dominoes fall where they may. Get prepared or be left behind. I'm telling you, what have I been preaching the last few Mondays, no matter what the topic is? Be prepared. Be prepared, because you have so much downtime. You have time to be prepared. Get your certification going, get your resources ready. So when licensing comes to your state, when close downs come to your state, you will be prepared.
Yes. Oh, yay. Jessica said they just started a Maryland Professional Pet Groomers Association. Yay. It's good. It's good, good, good.
All right, Jessica, are you guys in NAGA? Have you posted with them? Just wondering, because that, I don't know if it's in there.
Yeah, the national, the NAGA Facebook group will want to know about your new state association.
Because they are, it's been pretty quiet lately. Okay, yeah, they are. That's good.
Yeah.
So we haven't had a meeting in a while.
Yeah, we had one a couple of weeks ago. There weren't, I think a lot of people are, kind of checked out because of the quarantines and stuff. But no, it's really, given the changes in the world that are probably permanent, even after the pandemic is largely behind us, hopefully a year from now, the fact that we're doing so many things online, I have a feeling that's not going to change. I don't think we're ever going to be going back to a world where nobody is on Zoom. I mean, it's or StreamYard. Thank you, Dara. I like that, Liz. 7 P's, proper previous planning prevents piss poor performance. That's good. I like that. But yeah, no, I think that the virtual meetings and the virtual education components are here to stay, and that gives us more opportunities to talk to each other and help each other communicate. When I started grooming in the early 1980s part-time while I was teaching school, groomers I never spoke to another groomer ever. It's amazing to see in the 40 years I've been dabbling in this industry to see how much better it is that we're communicating with each other. And Jessica is being told. Yeah, Jessica is sharing that Terry DiMarino has recommended that when you do legally construct your state association, that a 501c6 is what you want to become. You'll have to spend a little bit of money to get that incorporation thing done. But Terry has been very generous to share the written paperwork that they did for California to become a C6, and a lot of those answers to the questions that are on that extensive tax application form could be shared and used in other states. Yeah. Thanks to Terry.
To have an accountant and even a lawyer look up everything, because to be a 501c6, you have to have all your bylaws and all your structure and everything in place to be able to get that. Right. So that does take, because every state is going to be different. And sometimes it's better to look and get your nonprofit in a state that could be tax-free, because the nonprofit, I don't believe, has to be in its state of residency. You can get your name in other states. So that's something to ask your accountant.
I wonder if that would impact, the efficacy of your lobbying if you were incorporated in a different state than what you're trying to lobby in. I would check about that.
Yeah, that's what I said. Check about that and make sure, because I've heard of that being done. So
yeah. So Callie just signed on to the show and said, how does one certify to prepare? I mean, I think that raises another really good question, and I'd love to hear both of you guys comment on it as well. But I believe that every groomer should get certified.
Pick one of the 4.
Mm-hmm.
IPG, International
Professional Groomers.
IPG, National Dog Groomers Association of America, and the other one is International Society of Canine Cosmetologists, and then AKC Safe.
Mm-hmm.
I would pick a certification from either one of those 3. A good start would be the AKC Safe as a separate entity, just as an add-on. But those 3 core modules there will get you some type of a certification as a groomer, a professional pet groomer, a certified master groomer, a certified sporting groomer. It will give you some certification. So as far as getting your certification in order, that's something that every groomer we've been advocating to do forever. Get your education.
And all of those share in common that there is some testing involved.
Absolutely.
All of those are peer administered testing. The AKC SAFE is you take a detailed class. You can do it online or you can do it in person at conferences, but right now online is a great way to do it. And that's something you can do in a day. That credential, that certification is not going to carry as much weight if they require hands-on testing, like what you would get with one of the three organizations, ISCC, NDGAA, or IPG. But all of those three, NDGAA, IPG, and ISCC, all offer an entry-level certification that is very accessible to any groomer. This is not hard. I mean, you may not want to try to become a certified master groomer at this point. You don't have to do that. All of those certifying organizations have an entry-level certification that is geared to evaluating your ability to complete a groom safely.
And as far as I'm concerned, Liz, how to know which one is best? That's the question. Think about it this way. If I want to be a nurse, but I have 3 kids, no husband, and I'm working as a waitress, and I'm working myself through college, I'm going to go to a community college or a trade school that's going to teach me my nursing degree so that I can get through it. I'm piecemeal in 1 or 2 classes a semester trying to make ends meet, but my goal is in sight. So if you think about it that way, or your mom and dad can pay for your college, or you can qualify for a scholarship and you can go to one of the best nursing schools. It doesn't matter what school you go to. It matters how you utilize your education and have that little stupid piece of paper at the end that says your peers agree that you have mastered your work. So I would say explore each one. IPG,
yes, I was going to say.
Society of Canine Cosmetology. Explore all 3 of those options. See their progression from beginner, intermediate, and onto master and emeritus.
Yeah.
See which one suits you. See which one fits you.
Talk to each of them. Call each of them up. They all have staff. Linda Easton runs IPG. Jeff runs NDGAA, and Pam Lortzen runs ISCC. Call them up and talk to them. What do they charge? What do they offer? Compare shop.
Hey, Bobby, reach out to me. Send me a PM. I got some questions for you.
Oh, that's great. Bobby says she's created a short PowerPoint that explains certification.
That. That up in the file.
You know where I was going with that. Call me Bobby.
And I will put into the Pet Pro Educators file, as soon as we get off, I will put into the Pet Pro Educators Facebook files the documents that I sent to the state that our board, the IPPGA board, worked for weeks, and the letter that I researched and wrote to the governor, and the safety proposal that showed that we could do contact-free grooming with really high sanitation protocols. We sent that in, and that was very effective. So I will post those 2 documents, and everybody, as long as you credit IPPGA for what we wrote, you can definitely use them. It's in the, I'll put them in the files as soon as we're done on the Pet Pro Educators Facebook group.
Love it.
Callie, I need a little more clarification on, you said for the groomers that start off in corporate, does that count for the...
Probably certification. And let me field this one as well.
Okay.
So if you started corporate, they're going to put you through their own course to certify you to groom in their corporate setting. The type of certification that I hope and pray every groomer makes a choice on are those 3 main ones, because these are more all-inclusive of all of the things that you need to know to be a professional groomer and to be informed and educated so that you can educate your clients in turn. So I would say that even though you have a corporate certification, I don't think that equals one of the main 3 certifications that there are in grooming. So I think that
Oh, and I can guarantee you that the state or a state government or a county or a city is not going to recognize a business's internal training program
Right.
to be equal to an industry-wide. The three that we have named, IPG, NDGAA, and ISCC, are industry-wide, universally. They're exterior to any particular grooming business.
They're known national standards of how to act when you're a groomer. Basically, how to handle, how to act, what the breed groups are, what the basic trims are. They have practicals so that they can assess your skill with scissors, with clippers, with, proportion, everything. So,
and the AKC safe test is available online. Is a certification on from a class. You're going to take like a 4 or 5 hour class on things like zoonotic diseases and first aid.
Chris, I'd like to say that there are actual schools that will teach you for a diploma that for certification.
Just going there. I was waiting.
A diploma state recognized school is absolutely another type of certification you can have. There are a handful, I believe, in the States. I can't name any of them, but the whole Pet Grooming Academy. So
yes,
but that's, if you're at that level and there is a state certified, recognized grooming school that offers practical, that offers, what am I thinking? What am I going to say? Practical and I'm losing it, guys. Book learning,
and
hands-on. Then they certify you through the state and give you a diploma, if you will. Then that is probably going to count, especially in your area. But it should count through all the states if it is state governed.
Kim asked if it was students come out certified. Certified is through a organization. When you go through a school and get a diploma, that's levels above an organization certification. Now, if it's a state level certification, meaning like the beauty schools or the beauty industry, they have to get their license through the state to maintain that. That's a certification or their license. So that's different. We do diplomas and we do state approved or state recognized certificates. So we've got our salon sanitation class. We've got that Angie teaches, our cosmetology courses, Jennifer's canine science classes. Yeah. We've got master feline classes, aromatherapy now. The massage therapy has all been added. Trying to think some nutrition. We've got the zoonotic class. We've got.
The great thing about that is that
classes are broken into certificates.
But everybody should know the work that Dara did to get the state in order to approve all of those classes.
Yeah.
Dara had to work with the State Education Association and get all of that credentialed. So it has already been through the rigor of state governmental approval, so that if just tomorrow New Hampshire said, every groomer in the state has to graduate from an accredited school, all of her graduates have that. And, that could happen. We don't know what state licensing could look like, but one of the things that it very easily could look like is that you have to have attended so many hundreds of hours in a state accredited school.
Yeah. Angie Robinson said Connecticut has it. I know Connecticut has licensing for their salons and kennels, but I don't know if that means the groomers themselves need to be licensed or maybe registered, because Suffolk County, New York, groomers have to be registered in the town to be able to work. So registration is different. That was what the Suffolk, I think it's Suffolk County. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but they, they want all the groomers to be registered. That doesn't mean they have to be licensed. They just pay a registration fee every year. And that way they have some way of keeping track of them, or if there's any issue, or they have some way of finding the shops, finding the groomers employed, and being able to correct any wrongdoing, or that the groomers, if there is something on their end that happens, they have the help of the community of the town.
Angie is saying that what Connecticut has is a requirement that if you are a groomer in Connecticut, you have to have gone to an approved school. Is that true?
I've never heard that. I'm probably, besides Angie, our other Angie, are you still on? Angie Coates, maybe she could answer that because she's a little closer to Connecticut than I am, but I haven't heard that. I know they have their kennel and their license that the town has to.
Angie Robinson, I would really like to know if that is true, that that Connecticut requires groomers to have gone to an approved school. I don't
think there's any schools in Connecticut right now.
Yeah.
So
I'm not sure that, if that's true, that would be another national first. That would be something important for us to know. So, yeah. Well, I'd like to, Angie, can you post in the Pet Pro Educators Facebook group, can you post a link to anything about that in Connecticut?
What the requirements are, what the laws are.
Yeah. That would be interesting to know.
That might help other state associations as well, because I believe that it's going to be different per state. Just because the culture is so different. So it might be that some states want a school and want you to go through that school. And then they're going to eventually send all the groomers through that school to be certified or have different locations or have a test. You don't know what's going to happen. So, we'll just have to see what happens. You have to pay attention to your local legislation and see what's going on. You have to keep your eyes open.
And usually when a new licensing thing happens, for example, if they change, the square footage of what is required in a building or something, usually what they'll do is they'll grandfather in people that are already established in the industry, but they usually have to go through some sort of a registration or transition process. To me, it seems highly unlikely that any state would tomorrow just start requiring everybody to have attended so many hours of an accredited school when so many people have been grooming for so long without having gone to school.
We hope so.
We hope so.
We don't know what's going on right now. So it could be tomorrow you wake up and they're saying, well, you have to close your door until you have a license. And we don't know what that license is. We don't know. But we do know that it is coming. That is one of the reasons we established this very Groomers Cut, to talk about these things, to talk about education, to talk about certification, to talk about state
licensing.
All those things are important.
And I want groomers to stop thinking in terms of I oppose that. That's just a really bad idea. I like the way it is now in our industry, where anybody with talent and skill and hard work and commitment can go on and become it. I love that sentiment. It just doesn't matter, however.
Well, I'm going to put it to you like this. The people that have the money that give to us to do what we do deserve to go to someone that they trust, someone that is licensed, someone that is certified, someone that has established producible standards before they give their dog that they could pay anywhere from $300 to $30,000 for. So if you think about it like that, if you need your breast removed, are you just going to go to somebody who's just, I got a knife, I've done it before, it's going to be great? Do you want that? Or do you want to go to an actual surgeon that has been watched by other surgeons perform that surgery and say, he knows what he's doing? I want that. I don't want the guy with the knife waving it around. It's the same thing right now in the grooming industry. Yeah. The client can't tell us apart. We could be the one just butchering dogs back there, smacking them around, whatever. We're not, but But we could be, as far as they know. They don't know. They can't tell us any different unless we market ourselves properly, unless we show them that we do have that education and we communicate with them properly. So you see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it doesn't matter that I don't care if my dentist has a certificate or not. It does matter. It matters a lot.
Mhm.
It does matter.
And what really is irrelevant is our own opposition, personal or professional, to whatever might be coming. It's like being opposed to the sun rising tomorrow.
I'm mad at it.
Yeah, I don't want it to happen, so I'm just going to pretend it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But it's
And
going to happen.
it's like being in the middle of giving birth and then deciding you don't want to have a baby. You
Too
can't stop it. It's
late.
coming.
That's right.
So I'm sure that, Christopher, I'm sure that when we do get licensed, there will be some type of designation to hang on our wall or put on our door to announce that we are a licensed, certified salon with certified groomers or apprentices.
Mhm.
The bathing thing is probably going to be an issue, but guess what? There's certificates for bathers now. So so there's no reason for, if you are working with animals, for you not to have enough education to have earned a certificate from your peers to show that you know your stuff. It's not unreasonable. It's not wrong. We've been getting away with it for a long time. And how many times have we read something in the newspaper or online about one more groomer who was misbehaving or not treating a dog right or didn't clean up her stuff or his stuff? It didn't do right. And you're like, oh my God, that's terrible. He never should have done that, or she never should have done that. That's crazy. Why does she have a Bedlington? And then she's asking how to do it, but it's already on her table. Be prepared. Educate yourselves.
Well, Christopher, the questions that you're asking, as we've been saying all along, we don't know the answer to them, because it completely depends on what is being proposed and in what jurisdiction. Is it a state licensing law like what they've battled in New Jersey and California? Is it a county ordinance? Is it like the West Hollywood law that they're trying to pass about certain safety protocols where they don't want to have safety loops around the dog's neck on a table unless it's one of those quick releases or something? There is any number of ways that government can, will, and is going to intervene in regulating us, because we're too big, we're too high profile. We have been slipping under the radar as an industry for decades, and those days are coming to an end.
So, Christopher, to answer that question,
I was going to jump in.
If there is a sanitation standard, how will the client tell it's being done? If we are licensed, like I said, the infrastructure will have to be there to administer those licensing standards. So you bet your bottom dollar that to renew your license or to keep it current, you're going to have an inspection. You will have inspections like regular, like that's how it's done.
I get inspected once a year in Illinois because I have a state kennel license, and it's a surprise inspection. And when they show up,
inspected 7 times a year.
7 times? Wow, Dara, for the school?
Yep.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
And when, I don't know what they ask for when they show up at your place, but when the state kennel license guy from the Department of Agriculture shows up at my place, a surprise once a year, the one thing, he'll look at all of our electrical and all of our housing facility and cleanliness and all that kind of stuff. But the main thing he does is he picks 10 dogs and says, show me their vaccination records. And that's one of the major things that he does.
Mm.
Yeah.
Wow. I think I wanted to go back to Christopher up here also, because he said non-transparent facilities. The difference.
Yeah, I want to insert there also. The thing that WPA is coming out with is absolutely going to have, they have money earmarked for actual client education on the client end, not just for groomers, but for clients themselves. So there's going to be, after January, there's going to be a huge campaign teaching clients that at the very least, they should ask for salons who have their basic foundational standard. who are following that standard. So I believe that is the lead into what we're going to see in the future. But that is something that's going to happen. So if the client already knows to look for the certification, then they're absolutely going to ask the people that they take their dogs to.
But right now,
I was going to comment on that just because, we do a really big display in the academy and the grooming salon, since they're separate with everything for the instructors, and people that are coming in are looking and reading and taking notice of the certificates on the walls and the diplomas that are on the walls and the credentials that we house in front. And they are very impressed with those, and they want to know who's who and where those came from and why we're doing that. And I think our retention of clientele in a smaller shop has grown because of that. And word is getting out that we have those and so many, and it's not just one of us, it's multiples of us. And it doesn't necessarily mean that we all have the exact same thing. Some of us have different certificates, some of us, because we all try to take different classes and bring the knowledge back, but there's multiples of different educational based instructions on the wall.
And if I could just really underscore Michelle's theme about being prepared, I just want to commend those great shoulders on which we all stand now. The people who first PPGSA, more than 5 years ago, they worked for 2 straight years to create a document that is very politically savvy and can be handed to any legislature or any government agency that is considering regulating or licensing groomers. It's done. The document was written for politicians, for elected officials. It gives a very clear set of standards by which safety, care, and sanitation can be evaluated. It's been written, it's been advised by people who are political professionals, who are lobbying the United States Congress, Mike Bobeck and people like that. They actually really created a document that's already in place. And you can take PPGSA standards and use them in your state or county or whatever, city or whatever that might be wanting to license and regulate. Those documents have already been created because of people in our industry who had foresight to be prepared. And people like Linda Easton at IPG creating the SAFE programs, and Pam Lauritsen, who basically started groomer certification decades ago, and Jeff, who's been with National, has been running these competency tests in our industry for decades. Hard work and commitment, preparing our industry to raise our own boat, the rising tide that's going to raise all of our boats. And so there are people that have been out there, and now the WPA, World Pet Association, with Chris Berry, they are working to create this baseline competency test that is going to have scientific psychometric validity, and it's going to be available, to be done at testing centers and stuff throughout the country. And it's going to be a baseline competency that I think, again, that could be very easily picked up by people who want to license us or regulate us. So thank you to all those.
I've talked to her directly, Chris Berry. I've talked to her about this program to her face. Well, not to her face, through Zoom, but absolutely directly to her, and Dara as well. So I know that if you can't pass this competency test, you probably shouldn't be grooming.
Amen.
It's that baseline. It's that foundational. Yeah. Truly, it's just to make sure that you're not supposed to clunk them with clippers. It's that. But at least it's a start, and that's something to build on. She is starting there. Her organization is starting there. And with the Master Groomers Council of Best Practices, we're actually starting up here. What are the best standards that you can follow? And if you're familiar with the Animal Association, AHA, the Veterinary Hospital Association, that is an elite standard of top 20 hospitals, basically, that they follow those standards of care. So that we're trying to develop that type of standard of care up here. WPA is starting down here, and hopefully we will hug everybody in the middle, and it'll be great.
Yeah. Christopher, could you please post the Companion Animal Network? I'm trying to pull it up here, but I don't have great connection right now. But it looks like, are they based in Dallas? Am I seeing that right? I'm intrigued now. Would like to know a little bit more.
Maybe he could post it in
Companion
the
Animal Network.
Excellent question, Brooke. You can go to the actual Facebook page that you got this on, basically. And it's Pet Pro Educators, and go into their files and find the board letter, the board council letter, and that contains an application. You fill it out, you mail it to me. The email is in there, and I will invite you to the private group, and we meet every 3 weeks, and we discuss absolute standards on everything difficult. We talk about double coats. We talk about anal glands, when to do them, when not to do them, should we not do them at all, when to pluck ears, when not to pluck ears. Those are the types of things that everybody fights over online, and you're like, okay, hold on. Let's have some consensus from master groomers and from all other groups. You don't have to be a master groomer to participate in your voice, but we promote education, and we give you voting rights if you have completed a certified master groomership.
So thanks to all of the people that have been doing this hard work of helping our industry be prepared.
Yep.
Like Dara's school.
I think I sent you the link for it, but I can resend it for you. Yeah, Brooke, you'll have.
Yeah, national.
You'll have.
Really wonderful. That's what I love to hear. I would like everybody to be certified by a board of their peers. I think that should happen in any capacity that you can make it happen. It's important. I can say, how many times have you heard somebody say, I've been grooming for 30 years. I can do whatever. And then you look at their grooming and you're like, oh, because they're not paying attention to everybody else. They haven't grown. You know what I mean? I would rather say, you know what? I have been groomed for 30 years. I'm going to see if everybody agrees that I can groom this dog correctly and pay attention to safety, pay attention to how I use my clippers, pay attention to the handling of the animal and the proportion of the trim. So that's what you're being tested on. You're being looked at by people who will agree that you can handle the mastership of your craft.
And it has never been easier to get certified through one of the 3 certifying organizations. It's never been easier because now, at least I know IPG is doing it on Zoom. You can do monthly IPG certifications on Zoom, and I've watched Linda do it. It's amazing how she's able to get them to comb in a certain way and turn the animal in a certain way to the camera. She can see everything she needs to see via Zoom. Yeah.
I've seen it.
That's right. It's pretty cool. You can do it online. It's much less expensive than the old days when you had to travel to a conference and stay in a hotel and bring your dogs. And it's so much easier now to get certified.
Yes, Christopher, we rise by lifting others. Yes. That is the spirit in which we live here at the Groomers Cut and with Pet Pro Educators. Absolutely.
Well, this was a world record long show, Dara.
It was. Good job, Jennifer. Okay, and I'm just going to post the link for all of our classes. So you can go to our career center.
For the Pet Pro Educators, because Lorraine, who was asking.
Lorraine.
Yep. I will post that also. Let me get over there. Hold on.
Yeah, they're just looking for that. Yeah, Liz said, I need that Facebook info that Michelle was talking about.
It's the Pet Pro Educators.
Running slow here, so let me go over to that. Give me just a second because I have NAGA up here. I posted that. There's a lot of posts in here, but my
a lot of information.
I'm running slow. I don't know if I'm used to being on my desktop, so
anything that you missed that you want to get more about in the show, go to the Pet Pro Educators Facebook group. And, we tend to, the 3 of us tend to it. So you can, we can repeat anything.
Nobody will answer you.
Yes.
Yeah. Hold on. Give me just 1 second here. Oh my goodness.
You're doing this all from a laptop instead of your big normal office.
I am. So I think my computer's just bogged down with trying to keep up and get links and
So we'll post it in the Facebook group, in the Pet Pro Educators Facebook group.
It's the streaming takes a lot of pull from the laptop since I have it on so many platforms. The Companion Animal Network, we just looked it up, and I'm finding it looks like it is in Texas, at least what we found, and it looks like it's more of an adoption agency, but I don't know. I'll keep doing some research on that. It's just not loading for me. Oh my goodness. Of course, when you want stuff, right? Technology. Gotta love it.
Thank you, Liz, and thank you, everybody. We've had a lot of support in our audience tonight. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much.
If it comes up, if we want to end it, I can post it after the live broadcast, or I'm just not getting it. Oh, here we go. It's starting. It's not liking me.
Dara, your technical abilities never cease to amaze me.
Well, I try. I get better every day.
You are amazing. A woman of so many talents. Thank you, Tanya.
I like utilizing the ones I like best, too. Here we go. All right. It's coming now. So we'll go back. How you guys had a good Thanksgiving. I know, Michelle, you have been ridiculously busy.
I'm exhausted. This is the best I can do right now. Okay. I'm helping my blind husband finish his master's degree, and we're at the end of the first semester, and we're winding down with finals. And I sometimes have to scribe for him because he'll dictate and then I scribe it. And it's massive. It's massive. We just got done with an APA paper on Pion and brain plasticity, and we are rocking and rolling. So I'm wrung out. I've got 2 tears left, and I'm saving them so my mouth isn't dry. I'm exhausted.
But you are a wonderful partner to that man, doing great work.
He's worth it. He's worth every second.
Yeah.
Good to have someone like that by your side.
Yes, it is.
All right. Well, I'll have to go back and I'll have to post it after we're done. So I'll just post it on each of our
directly into the thing.
Yeah. So, but I think a lot of people might be watching on the Pet Pro Educators and maybe on Jennifer's page. And some are watching on the Academy page. So, but we'll get that posted again. Either way, I'll get that link up. So, all right, guys, have a good night. We'll see you next Monday when I'm back in New Hampshire in the snow.
Mwah. Mwah.
And I was told it was cold down here. I'm like, it's 50 degrees. This is fantastic.
It's down to 50 degrees. I'm like, oh, I need a sweater.
I brought all my sunglasses. What are you talking about?
Thank you.
We got her turtleneck on, and
well, this was
50 degrees is cold in Texas.
Yeah,
I know.
You guys are really awesome. You asked some great questions. I love that. I love that you're so present and you're educating yourselves and you're really thinking about things. You have a thinking, questing mind, and I love that.
Yeah, we have a great chat room group. You guys are all awesome too.
We do, yes. Well, thank you guys for joining. We will see you next week on the Groomers Cut, and we're gonna have to top this. I don't know how we can top this next week.
Oh, we have to get better.
We gotta get better. We'll get better. All right, I'll work on that this week in my spare time while I'm working. All right, have a good night, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks.
Let's see how long.